All right. So, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm okay. My dad just
Oh,
came
you're
by.
muted or something. I can't hear you all of a sudden. It doesn't look like you're muted, but
Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. No, everything seems to be going okay. My dad just left. I have a leaky faucet, so he was helping me with that. And weekend was good. I went to the gala on the Infinity Gala on Friday and saw Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. But I went to the workshop on Saturday. I was totally late and but I got there and he was talking and I'm like, I've heard all this before, even
It's nothing
and
new. Okay.
I just left after an hour. I didn't feel like being there.
Good job listening to what was for you in your body.
Right.
That's a big step, Bonnie.
Yeah. Part of me though is like I had a hard time making the decision if I should go or not because I slept in and I missed my water class. Like it was like go to water class or go to this Don Miguel Ruiz thing, and so I skipped my water class and that's not so good for my body,
Right.
but
And you went. Do you see anything like why, like, did it speak to you why you went, or was it to learn that you needed to choose you?
um well, I had a free ticket to the workshop, so I felt like, well, I should probably go, but I listened, I listened and I left early, so
Yeah, that's a step.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious if you've noticed anything since our session last week. I know you were wanting to take some action to get some stuff out of the house.
Oh, no, I haven't gotten anything out of the house.
Okay. I felt the pressure with that. I'm just here to hold space for you. There's no judgment here.
Well, my cleaning lady did come, so that means I had to pick up a lot of things and,
Okay. So
and
it
the
didn't.
house seems still relatively clean and stuff, but
Yeah, they're still. Yeah. So did you notice, because you chose yourself this weekend? I know you went because, like, should I go? That whole story. But did you notice any radiant, like anything that showed up because you chose to leave early and you didn't stay just to stay because you should stay because you had a ticket?
um I don't know. I got to hang out with my boyfriend. I got to cook some burgers on the grill. Um, I don't know.
Okay. Well, did that fill you? Spending time with your boyfriend and doing those
Yeah.
things rather than
Yeah, I
staying?
mean, I appreciate it. And I had a conversation with my mother over the weekend and I told her that I'm thinking about that Ed doesn't want to have a baby and I think that's being selfish of him. And I'm thinking about maybe getting a sperm donor. And she has her opinion about all that. She's like, I think that's gross. You don't know whose child you're getting, I mean, but she's old school, right? But
Right.
I mean, she made a couple, she's like, at your age, Bonnie, and with all my pain issues and, like lifting a child and when they're sick and they're crying and the this and the that and doing all that stuff alone would be very very challenging, um and when I did the muse method earlier today
Yeah.
and I said to myself, how would my choices bless everyone around me? And I thought of God forbid some if I did get pregnant and something was wrong with the baby, like I don't want to be put in a position where I have to abort the baby, and
Yeah.
so so I don't know if it's just coming to coming to terms with like not having a child, or I have an appointment with the fertility clinic next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
Right.
I don't know if it's a waste of time, Jenny, because, I still haven't submitted all the documents they want. They want a copy of the pap, of the mammogram, of this, and then, I haven't chosen a sperm donor. So I don't know what I'm going to talk about with this woman.
Right. But I did notice in you doing the Muse method and asking that question, it brought up some sadness, some tears.
Right.
So what if right now we do the Muse method together to press into what's here to remind you that you matter?
Okay.
Because it also sounded like you shared that right after you started to share your mom's opinion about what her belief is
Right.
and started pressing down on you is what I saw. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like that her what she believes was pressing down on you. Am I doing the right thing?
Right.
And then getting caught up in it. So what if we would it be supported to do the Muse method since this is here now and just see where to go from here
Yeah,
with
that's
this?
fine.
Okay. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. Let's bring our hands anywhere that our body needs support right now, or where you feel more of Bonnie that you can, I guess, activate and expand into. So any of those, any options you get to choose. Now follow your breath. Let it carry some curiosity as to what might be here in your body, in your being. And now connect and expand and call in any support you need as you connect and expand and meet what's here without making anything wrong, not trying to change it, just being with everything that's here inside of you. And let's go ahead and begin. I'm with you. I'm doing it with you too. And just taking a few more breaths, letting anything that's here, if it wants to come out, emotions, sensations, letting that be here. And just take a few more breaths here. So what do you notice? What's here now? What do you notice now after doing the Muse method?
Um, I don't know. I didn't notice too much. My mind was kind of all over the place. And then I was like, oh, mind, stop. Um,
Yeah. And rather than making your mind wrong, what if you just keep inviting your mind to be curious? Let's just be curious. Like that's the task of our brain. It's just to be curious. Like we just have to keep reminding our brain, oh, I'm just being curious with what shows up in me. That's it. Because the mind's going to bring a lot of stuff into it. And the mind is useful because after we do the Muse method, we could be like, oh, I felt whatever it was
right,
at the sensation. And that's where we use our brain to get involved because it's still useful.
right.
Just not thinking all the spiral thoughts that it keeps pulling us down into. So I guess where would you like to focus our energy today to explore together?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I have my notes from last time. I don't know, maybe to tap into my intuition or decision making skills, like, I told you I had a conversation with my mom, you
Right.
know, so
And can I ask, with the conversation with your mom, did you notice anything when you before you talked to her? Like, did you feel safe in having that conversation?
Well, she called me to tell me that so I have one sister who has 3 kids, and I don't get invited to any of their functions or parties or anything. And my nephew is graduating high school tomorrow. And so my mom called me and said, I wish you and Renee, that's my sister, would be closer. And I asked her if she could invite you, but Camille, that's her husband, doesn't want me there. So she's married to like this Iraqi guy who's he's filled with a lot of judgment and hate, to be honest with you. It's been a lot of discord over the years. Like, I truly am racking my brains what I said or did to him to offend him, Jenny, and like, I'm not invited to. So my mom called me to tell me that she's upset that I'm not invited. And I'm like, it is what it is, I mean,
Yeah, but what can you do about that at this point? So
nothing. So since my mom opened up about that, I decided to talk to her about having my own kids,
yeah, did,
So,
did you
I mean,
notice?
it would be nice if I could have a relationship with my sister's kids, I mean, I give them money on their birthdays and presents, and I go all out on, Christmas and all that, but
Right. Is that a supportive relationship for you with them? Because it doesn't sound like you get to see them.
no, if it's outside of like Christmas,
Right.
no.
So what I'm hearing is your mom called you. She's not doing anything wrong. She's doing what she knows how to do. But there was a sense of her making you feel guilty because she was upset that you're not invited, which isn't anything you can control at this moment.
Correct.
And then to create a relationship with her, you shared something very intimate. And was it supported the way you wanted it to be supported?
No,
Okay, so is it safe to have those conversations with your mom?
probably not. I mean,
Did you notice anything as you were talking to her, or even as she was responding? Did you notice anything in your body? And if you didn't, that's okay.
well, I was trying to like rebuttal her. She's like, you would be raising somebody else's child. I'm like, no, actually, it would be half of me, you know?
Right.
So
So
I
you're
was rebuttaling a little bit.
Yeah, so you're on the defense.
Right.
So when we're on the defense, we've always got our shield, but we've also got our sword behind the shield of, but no, it's, you know what I mean?
Right.
So when we're in a space where we don't feel safe, sometimes the best thing to do is to, I need to go. And could this was an invitation for you to see that maybe your mom can't hold what you're navigating right now, and to maybe lean into more support that can hold whatever the outcome might be, whatever you choose, without making any of it wrong.
I feel like I don't have anybody to share it with. I mean, I don't really have very many girlfriends.
Right.
I lost my BFF a couple years ago. She just cut me off because she didn't like that I was in a relationship with the guy I'm in a relationship with. I mean, I have Kat as a sponsor who doesn't say
Right.
one way or another that you should move forward with this or that. She actually makes me a little bit more confused. Um, you know, last time I called her, I was just upset that Ed didn't agree to having a baby. Um, and she's like, well, I want you to write down any scenario that you can think of how this could go. And I want you to write it out. And then I went to my therapist and he's like, yeah, that might actually make you more anxious, Bonnie. So I don't know if you should do that. So yeah. So I'm saying I don't have too many people to share this with. And so it's hard when it's just in your head, you know?
Right. would you, and I know we talked about this before, rather than keeping it in your head, would you be willing to have conversations with yourself, do a voice recording, something to talk to yourself to get some of this out? And then I wanted to mirror back, if you're open to this, the spaces that you do have right now for support, even if it's not a lot. And if we could just keep bringing your awareness to those places. So, yes, you have cat, and sometimes it makes you more confused. So keep checking in with with that dynamic. You
Mhm,
have here, we can share whatever, you're allowed to bring it all, and you have your therapist right now. So you have
mhm,
at least those spaces where you can share.
right,
And it sounds like you also need more from what I'm hearing, because when
maybe.
you add it, you don't have that, because he's choosing, he wants something different. So you can't talk about that when you're with him. So would you be willing to start to have conversations with yourself and start to voice some of the stuff that's in your head to make it real?
Mhm,
Because what if by keeping it in your head, you are losing clarity because it's just spinning around and around and around?
right,
What if you start vocalizing it and naming it using your voice, your throat, which is connected to your solar plexus, your seat of your personal power? You start to access some of that wisdom that's inside of you to gain clarity.
mhm,
So if like I know we were talking about last week with the fear and doing like the power pose, but when you're in the spiral of the thoughts and you feel the heaviness in your heart, could you stop and do the muse method and ask, okay, how can I breathe and expand more? Where can I breathe and expand more? And go be in that place. Go do that.
mhm.
Would you be willing to experiment with that?
Yeah, but what do you mean breathe and expand more?
So asking that, and then because when you were stuck in the fear, like you've explained to me, you can't breathe. You start to shut down and you're breathing short, shallow breaths. So where can you breathe? You've said out in nature before. You've said when you've done your swim classes. Like where do you find that you can breathe more? Is there other places you can think of?
I mean, when I'm meditating, I guess.
Okay. Even meditating. So even doing like a quick 2 minute, 5 minute meditation to breathe and expand more, and maybe even receive the wisdom as you're meditating, because prayer is, or meditation is the listening.
Mhm,
So would you be willing to go do the thing that's inviting you to breathe and expand more? Whether that's meditating, whether that's getting outside for nature, whether that's doing the muse method for just another minute, because that's all you have time for because you're in the middle of work.
mhm,
Would you be willing to have your own back and do those things?
mhm.
Okay. Is there anything that you could see getting in the way of doing that for you?
I don't know, maybe just not having an intention when I do the muse method. I mean, I just close
Yes.
my eyes and breathe, and I don't know, what I'm supposed to be doing.
All we're supposed to be doing, and I'm glad you said that, is connecting to ourselves and expanding. That's the intention.
Mm,
That's it. And it seems so simple, but it's like, nope, that's it. Because Bonnie, you have shrunk down your whole life. You've tried to be less than who you are because people couldn't hold all of you.
mhm,
So now what I'm inviting you to do is take up more space.
mm,
Be all Bonnie, all that you can be.
mhm, mhm,
But it's also discerning along the way, where are you safe to be Bonnie? Because for me, Bonnie, I'll tell you, I'm not safe to be fully me in front of my mom. So I'm not. I share what she is capable of receiving, because then it's meeting both of us. And then I have other places where I get to share all of me because I know I feel safe and they can hold it all.
mhm,
But it's taken me discernment to learn where that is. and have those conversations with my mom to be like, oh, you can't actually hold this. Oh, that's good to know. Now I know, and I'm not going to do that anymore because it's painful for me and her.
Maybe I told my mom. I mean, I kind of had a feeling about it, but that she would. Maybe I told my mom because I wanted her to sway me towards the no answer about having a child. You know,
Well, could that be true, Bonnie? That you told your mom because you wanted her to sway you that way?
I wanted her to meet me where I was at. I wanted, um, I don't know, maybe comfort, reassurance, understanding. But right,
Hmm.
she's not necessarily capable of doing that. You know.
Well, would you be willing to give yourself that comfort, that reassurance, and understanding that you're seeking outside of you?
It's just a big decision on my shoulders here, you know?
Yes. And I'm not denying it's a big decision, but could you meet yourself with some comfort and understanding? What comforts you? Where do you find comfort?
Mm, when I meditate, because I do primordial sound meditation, I don't know when else.
Okay. Would you be willing to lean into the places where you do feel comfort? So whether it's meditation, whether it's even the Muse method, even if it's for 30 seconds, would you lean into those places and just see what happens?
Mhm.
And I say that rather than leading into the places that you're seeking comfort from that can't actually comfort you, from your mom. And I say from Ed because Ed can't comfort you in this space because it's crossing the line that you guys have established.
Correct. I can't go to him for that.
Right. So now it's like an extra weight. So rather than keep carrying that weight around, what if you started creating the comfort for yourself?
Yeah, I guess through the Muse method, yeah.
What might that do for you by creating more comfort for yourself, even if it's just a few minutes extra a day? What might that do for you?
Calm my anxiety and some of my fears, I guess.
Okay. So now if your anxieties and fears are calmed down, what do you have space for?
More clarity, maybe.
Yeah. So you might gain clarity just by giving yourself the comfort that you're seeking and ease some of the anxiety and fear that's here so that you can
Mhm.
have that clarity. Would you be willing to experiment with that this week? And I say this week, but I'm going to say and beyond because it's not just this week, it's going forward
Experiment in what?
with creating comfort for yourself.
Mhm. Okay.
Having your own back in this new way of rather than looking outside of you for comfort, you're now checking in. What would make me more comfortable? What would bring me comfort? And that might be going to lay down with a nice fluffy pillow and blanket. And that would be comfortable in this moment.
Mhm.
But just by asking, you're opening up the door to find out what it is you need that will bring you comfort. And that could be a warm glass of tea, Bonnie. It doesn't have to be always meditating or doing the Muse method. It can be, I want a warm glass of tea. I want to feel warm inside. That
Yeah,
would
I'm
be
drinking tea right now, so
So what if you're already starting to do this, Bonnie? You're already doing it, but now we're creating a new level of awareness around it.
Hmm.
Well, because I know when I asked you like where you wanted to focus our time today, you said working on my intuition and having more clarity,
Hmm.
which I think we're on our way to.
Mm.
But through you creating more comfort in your body, in your being, in your environment, you will have more clarity, more answers.
Mm.
But it might look a little different than you thought it would. So would you be willing to just be open to however it makes itself known to you?
I mean, yeah, this seeking outside of myself for comfort, um, usually ends up, stinging me,
Mm,
going to my boyfriend, going to my mom,
it ends up stinging you.
Mhm.
And is it like a just a kind of one and done sting, or is it like a residual sting that just keeps lingering almost because your thoughts keep marinating on that sting?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was this weekend, right? You talked to your mom?
Mhm.
So that's what I was wondering is if it lingers because your thoughts keep causing you to disconnect from yourself and listen to what everybody else outside of you says. So it's like that sting just continues regardless of if they're there or not anymore. Is that true?
Yeah.
So when you have this awareness, like you just did with your mom, could that be an invitation for you to come back and connect to yourself and fill up with more of Bonnie because you've tried filling up with others and it doesn't actually support you, it stings you.
Right.
So, what if this is just an invitation to come back home so that you can have clarity and choose what's for Bonnie, regardless of what anybody else thinks?
Mm.
Because I want to wait till you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just, what if you don't need to know what your answer is right now with the fertility stuff, but you're just going through and following what you need to do to take the next step? But you're not going to know what the next step is until you get there, like next Tuesday when you go to the fertility clinic. And then you're going to know what the next step is. And you get to choose in that moment. Is this what I want to keep moving forward with? Or this is it? Or I don't know still. So I'm going to keep moving forward because I don't know, but I do have a feeling that this is something I want. And that's
Mhm.
okay. Are you willing to be in the unknown a little bit more and not have the
Yeah, I
next?
guess I have to be. Yeah, I want to be able to make a choice myself, not the choice be made for me by Ed or my mom.
Right.
Basically, she's like, "Yeah, you're old, Bonnie." So,
Yep. And it's she's not wrong. You are what you are. You're 47, right?
right.
Exactly where you're supposed to be at this point in your journey, and you still get to choose. So now it's you get to choose, and it's taking those next steps. So how when I ask you this question, notice what shows up in you. How do you what shows up when I ask getting all the stuff ready for your appointment on Tuesday, getting all the paperwork, the test results, all those things into the doctor. Is that supportive for you?
I just think it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but is it worth the work to get to where you want to go?
At the end of the day, I don't want to be a single parent. And that's what I'm going to end up being if I do this route. So
Potentially. I say potentially because we don't know what could happen. Things could end with Ed because you chose this route, and then it opens up the door for somebody else to come into your life to support this you and this child. Or it could look like you end up raising the child alone. And I don't have any answers. You don't either. But does it feel like it's too hard to do this work right now, to get in all these test results, pick a sperm donor?
I'm like putting it off, hoping that I'm going to get pregnant naturally with Ed, you know?
Yeah.
That would
And
solve a lot of things, but I'm not getting pregnant.
right. And how long have you been putting it off? Maybe not this, but been putting off the fertility stuff because
A
of the
year, a
child.
year.
So do you want to keep waiting?
Well, if I don't take action, Mother Nature is going to make the decision for me. So
So what else is stopping you from taking this action of the next step with the fertility stuff? What else is
I'm
stopping you?
just scared. I'm just scared of doing this alone. And I'm
Yeah.
sad that I have to be put in a position to make a decision like this.
Yeah. And that's welcome here too. So I wonder, since being you're scared right now and that the sadness is also here, if it would be supportive to do the Muse method again to meet this and see what might want to move.
Okay.
And you get to have the tissue there too. If that's what your Muse needs right now to let these tears flow, let them flow in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so feel free to grab your Kleenex whenever you need. And now bring your hands somewhere that's going to support this feeling of being scared, somewhere that's going to support the sadness that's here with all of this that's being held right now, with making this decision and all of the weight of all of this. Bring your hands somewhere that would meet you right now, that would comfort you in this moment, knowing you can move your hands whenever you want. And as your eyes are softly closed, just let your breath move through you. Just being curious like you would with your best friend, being with all that's here, not trying to change it or fix it. And now just expand into this. Let it be whatever it wants to be. If it's raging rapids that are here, let that be there too. If it's constriction that's here, just notice it without changing it. And as you're expanding, imagine every time you're expanding and breathing more life into you, Bonnie, it's calling in more of the support that you need. It's just naturally bringing it towards you through you connecting. So now just hold that intention of connecting, just connecting with yourself, connecting with all that's here and not changing it at all. And just see if anything emerges as I ask this question. What might bring you comfort right now? What might bring you comfort in this space? And just take another 2 breaths. When you're ready, you can just make your way back to the screen. No need to rush. What are you noticing now?
Um, well, during the Muse method, the thought or the feeling came over me, like I want to be a mother. It came over me.
Yeah.
And then when you asked me what would bring me comfort right now, I don't know. I couldn't, nothing came to me.
So I wonder, could you mother yourself? Because I know you said the thought came that you want to be a mother, but would you be willing to mother yourself in this space as you're figuring all of this out?
Yeah, that's a good thing to be able to do.
Okay. So what if you try practicing that this week of being a mother to yourself, this thing that you're seeking, that you start to create it within?
Right. I could do that.
So how might a mother show up to them like to a child if their child is having to make a big decision?
I mean, I guess to hold space for them, to comfort them, like we were talking about.
Yeah. So to hold space for them, to comfort them, is there anything else?
Um, to be nurturing, like bring me a cup of tea or maybe lay down or you know
Hmm.
to be
So,
able to listen and to understand.
so would you be willing to practice that with yourself? So listen,
Mhm.
so have those conversations out loud and listen to understand, to nurture, to comfort. Go get that cup of tea,
Mhm.
and as if you're doing it lovingly for the child you're caring for, which is you right now.
Mm.
Because everything you just shared, you experienced a little bit of the opposite of that when you spoke to your mom.
Right.
So you know what not to do. You know what not to do. And that's leading you to create this for yourself so that maybe in the future you can also create this for a child. And rather than waiting, you're not waiting, you're creating right now. You're creating this life of what Bonnie wants in her future. And you're creating it for yourself because you've learned by trying to get it from outside of you, it just leaves a sting
Mhm.
that doesn't actually meet you or fill you. From the sounds of it, it leaves you more empty of Bonnie because you're more confused. of what.
Mhm.
Is that true?
Well, I've been just trying to stay in the present moment and like enjoy the present moment versus trying to be in the future.
Right. Mm. And what are you noticing in that by being more in the present moment as opposed to and maybe the anxiety of the future or whatever is in the
I'm
future?
able to enjoy myself more. Like I had a good weekend.
Okay.
But then that decision lingers over my head, but
So you're able to be more present and you're enjoying life more. And
yes,
the weight of this decision is still pressing down on you. Is that true?
somewhat.
Okay. So how might it be to set the weight of the decision off, set it off to the side? And I know it's not, we're not going to be doing it forever because it keeps coming back.
Right.
But what if the weight of the decision keeps pressing down on you because you're not taking the action to gain clarity?
Correct.
Because you're like, but if I just wait a little bit longer, I might get pregnant naturally. You've been waiting a year. So what if you need to take more action than doing what you're doing?
Right.
Because often when we're stuck at this fork in the road, so imagine you're like at the fork in the road, you get to choose, right? You can choose this path or this path, but also staying here at the fork is a choice. You're not moving. And when we don't move, we start to cause ourselves more pain and suffering, giving our brain the chance to catch up to what we knew. Because when we have awareness, that's when we're at the fork of the road. We have the awareness and we need to choose which path. That means we have to act. But when we don't act and we stay at the fork, now we end up in more doubt and confusion because we didn't act, we didn't move based on the awareness we had. We stayed stuck. And
Right.
then it gives our brain time to catch up to our awareness, but then we've lost all the momentum to move. So, what if you are being presented with an invitation right now, but you need to move down this path towards this life that you want? Which means, yes, being here now, but also taking the action. So, what action do you need to take to move you towards that, what you want in your future?
See, but that's scary for me. I thought you said I was going to put the decision to the side.
We are putting the decision to the side, but you're acting knowing what you want in your future. So you want a child in the future. So you're acting and taking the steps you need to take to move towards it.
Okay.
So that can
I mean,
look
I
like,
can convince my boyfriend to have unprotected sex all I want, but
yeah,
I'm not getting fucking pregnant.
oh. So that action isn't doing anything for you anymore.
No.
So now what action can you take that will move you towards what you want? Even if it doesn't mean it's going to happen. We're just moving towards it.
I could submit some of those test results to the fertility clinic.
Okay. So would you be willing to start to do that to start to gain some clarity?
Yeah.
And I'm saying you're putting the decision down because you don't have to know what you're choosing. You're staying open to what you're choosing.
Yeah,
But
but moving forward with the fertility clinic, Jenny, I'm in a roundabout way saying that I choose a sperm donor.
you're gaining information. All you're doing is you're following the path of what is calling you and you're gaining information. Every step you take is you submit those papers, submit the test to them. What are you noticing in your body? Is this really still for you? Or are you just doing it because that's a dream you've always had? So you're taking action to move you towards it and you're checking in. So that's a little different than what you've been doing. So, yes, I'm saying you're setting down the decision because you're still staying open handed. Okay, this is what I want, but I don't know if this is fully what I want anymore. So, I'm going to follow this path. I'm going to take the action because that's what I need to do to move me closer to it. but I have to stay open to whatever shows up in me. Will I honor that? Because you may get to the fertility clinic and be like, hell no, I don't want to do this. Would
Well,
you listen
it's gonna be a virtual appointment with the doctor, but
even
yeah, I
virtually?
went there when I first went there, I was so nervous in the waiting room, or like I didn't get a good feeling in my stomach, you know. I felt very alone. And then the last time I went there for some blood work and an ultrasound, my I think I told you my blood pressure was like skyrocketed, and I normally have like perfect blood pressure. And
Right.
my body was like on high alert or something. I don't know.
But could your body be on high alert because you're taking the action to move towards something that might bring you to a space of being alone?
Yeah.
So there's kind of two conflicting stories here. Like I want to have a baby and I might end up alone. And then whichever story is louder, I might end up alone, might be the louder story right now, might be causing you to shrink and forget about what it is you do want. So having your own back right now, Bonnie, looks like honoring what's for you. So honoring, I need more comfort right now and support because this is a big ass decision. And I don't actually know anymore if it's what I want, but I keep having this knowing that it keeps showing up for a reason. So I'm going to trust my inner knowing and just follow and take one step every day to move closer to it. And as I take those steps, I'm going to check in and what do I notice? Because the fear, remember we talked, I think it was last week, we talked about how fear and excitement are the same neural pathway. So what
Right.
if also your body's way of being excited because you're on that edge of the life you've known. You're on the edge of saying, I'm going to choose what's for Bonnie, not for anybody else right now.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Bonnie, you choosing you is scary as all hell because you've had 47 years of choosing everybody else but you. Is that true?
No, I'm pretty self-absorbed. I mean, I feel like I choose myself, you know, like we are invited to a party on Sunday. I said, "No, I'm not going." I mean, I don't feel like, you know, pretending that I'm going to have enjoy myself at this party, you know.
And how did that feel to honor yourself in that choice?
Good. We ended up buying some flowers and planting flowers outside.
Right,
So now my patio looks all pretty, you know.
right. And it took you advocating for yourself. And yes, you are doing it. And now, what if there's even more? Because right now you're leaning into being the mother for yourself that you might not have ever had.
Mm,
Because you even said it was to listen. You didn't give your child any answers, you didn't tell them the right way. You listened, you tried to understand. So, would you be willing to do that for yourself? Start to listen and understand what's for you because you have a lot of noise outside of you.
right.
And
Yeah,
that,
that's gonna take some work. So
yeah. And would you be willing to keep practicing some of the other things we've experimented with, like when the fear shows up of doing the Muse method and then going into the power pose, putting your arms down, I think is what you did.
mhm,
Power pose and taking up more space to breathe new life into you beyond that fear.
mhm.
And when the sadness is here, would you be willing to keep pressing in and being with the sadness and not trying to change it?
Mhm.
And then you had also mentioned meditating more so that you could maybe have more clarity. That you said would bring comfort.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a 4 o'clock meeting, so I want to be mindful of the time.
So what are you walking away with from our time together today?
Um, this whole notion of mothering myself, listening, nurturing, comforting, understanding, and creating comfort for myself. Um, maybe having a conversation with myself,
Okay.
like you suggested,
Yeah.
in the recording myself, or
You can or just do it free form, whatever feels best for you. Because
okay,
you want to listen to it, like you were saying, like the mother would, you might want to listen to it. I don't know. It might be enough for you to just speak it out loud and listen to it when you're saying it.
yeah,
So I invite you to experiment with both ways and see which one resonates the most since it's something new.
okay.
Anything else?
And then to just set the decision to the side, but take the action, the necessary actions.
And
Do
just
the youth method a little bit more.
yeah. And would you be willing to ask as you're taking the action, is this the future I want to keep saying yes to? Or
Mm,
some question along those lines, like, is this what I want to keep saying yes to?
mm.
And just you may not have that answer in the moment, but just keep asking to wait for the answer to come. So that when you'll have the clarity when it's supposed to be here. It's already here, Bonnie. I see it in you. I'm not saying you have the answer to this decision, but you have a knowing of what you desire in your life.
Hmm.
So keep following that knowing regardless of what anybody outside of you says.
I don't want to lose my boyfriend though. Like I don't want to lose him.
I know. Do you want to lose yourself?
No,
Okay. Well, who would be most important to not lose?
myself.
Okay. So are you willing to have your back then and choose you regardless of the outcome? Which feels hard to say yes to because it's like, but what if that means losing it? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And you don't, once again, have to have that answer. Um, but yeah, just keep experimenting with this week. Because I know you have a meeting coming up. I think we are on our third session from this last pack. So what would you like to do? Did you want to do another 3 for now?
I don't know. Part of me was like, before our session was like, I don't know, maybe I should take a break because I'm doing all this, doing the therapy too. But I don't know.
We're experiencing more results right now from our work together or from the therapy? What is supporting you the most in this season? Because you've got a lot on your plate right now.
I do have a lot on my plate. And I mean, some of the things that you've taught me, Jenny, are very, I mean, they're very helpful and stuff. Um, I guess it's a matter of utilizing them, like listening to the sessions, which I haven't done, or
And that's okay. There's see we're judging yourself for not doing something, which
uh,
is the reason you haven't gone back yet. It's okay. It doesn't mean you ever will.
yeah,
But do you gain more clarity and are you moving, taking action on things that you've been stuck in for a while now from our time together?
Well, I don't know if I made an appointment with the fertility clinic, I mean,
Yeah. I know you've gotten stuff out of the house. You've done some things. I've heard you. You've honored your
right.
yes, which is a little different than what you've experienced before.
Can I get back to you like about the next session?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you get back to me by like Wednesday so that you have a little bit of time and space to think about it and we follow up on Wednesday. Is that enough
Okay.
time?
Yeah, or like Thursday.
Okay, by Thursday.
Okay.
Let's check in by Thursday and we'll just see where you're at. And just sit with like because we're going to keep working on your emotions, getting the like extracting more of the power from what was to move you forward. And that's
Right.
going to take time, Bonnie. It's not going to happen overnight.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
So that's why we like taking a pause. Then sometimes when we take pauses, then we go 10 steps, 5 steps back, and we've got to go back again and regain that momentum. So it can be supportive to keep going, even though you're in a lot right now. I would say
Okay.
because you're in a lot right now, you might need the support because you don't have the other ears to help to support you.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Yeah. Okay, let's check in on Thursday then.
Okay, sounds good. You have a wonderful meeting. I'll follow up with the email following up with all of this goodness.
Very good. Thank you so much, Jenny.
You're welcome so much, Bonnie.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.